Lately, it seems like we're all caught up in some kind of loop. Like time itself is speeding up. The days seems to be faster, technology is advancing at a record pace, and people are acting more and more like The Sims. Every day there are fewer and fewer people questioning this matrix, this plane of existence. Times are changing. Something like a paradigm shift of information of our reality that in any day is about or on a direct path to hit us like a ton of bricks. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been seeing more and more mainstream news articles about UFOs. I'm here to talk about what we actually know, its impact on religion, its impact on everything we think we understand about this subject. I'm activist Vall Owens, and welcome to the first episode of The Rabbit Hole. And this, my friend, this is your red pill.
I just want to be free. Take these chains off of me. Fear won't overtake me, won't put no chip in me. Got the mind and will of a king. I'm not a martyr, just a man with a dream. I will be free.
Let's start with what the government is finally admitting. For decades, the subject of UFOs was the talk of taboo. If you mentioned it, you were considered crazy. But something changed in the last decade when the Pentagon officially declassified videos taken by Navy pilots, showing a craft they named the Tic Tac, describing its appearance, performing maneuvers that defy our current understanding of physics, accelerating instantly without any visible propulsion. Then came the bombshell. Under oath before Congress, a former Air Force intelligence officer named, I know I'm gonna butcher this, David Grush. Well, let's just say David blew the whistle. He testified that the US government has been operating a multi-decade secret program to retrieve and reverse engineer crashed non-human craft. He didn't stop there. Grush stated that we have recovered non-human biologics from these crash sites. He went on to say that the government has set up official task forces like the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARO, tracking thousands of reports. And lately, as of me recording this in 2026, current President Trump has recently teased the release of classified UFO files, sparking a massive push for the UAP Disclosure Act. The reality is, despite our current beliefs or thoughts on the matter, we have a government that believes we are not alone in the universe, and there's a slow drip of disclosure that has already begun. The real question is why now, and is it a distraction or a step in bringing us all on equal footing of knowledge? This is when most of my viewers and listeners' inner blue pill begins fighting back by whispering in the form of an inner voice based on two things: our upbringing or our belief system. I grew up the son of a Southern Baptist minister with a father that preached anything alien was Satan and a distraction. His belief system only made me look deeper, study harder, and ask more questions. Meaning, I had the same questions as you. My red pill moment happened the more I looked into the Hebrew and Greek to get a better understanding of what the Bible literally said of aliens and UFOs. Something I learned quickly that is considered taboo in the Christian church and will get you shunned in Catholicism as well. As seen with former Vatican translator Mauro Biglino, who have spent years studying the original, literal Hebrew text of the Bible, and what he found seemed to match what I found after over a decade of research. Your birthplace determines the foundation of your perceived reality, which is often composed of a mix of God, religion, spiritual traditions, or personal beliefs passed down from parents or guardians. Now bear with me, and I promise I'm not preaching. I've noticed that many have a hard time getting a grasp on this stuff due to how it was explained to us growing up or by your favorite pastor or priest. If your experience has been anything like mine, the topic of aliens and UFOs can trigger mental unrest, a kind of mental bulimia every time you attempt to swallow the red pill on this topic. This unrest lasted over a decade for me. To be honest, I even considered avoiding this discussion entirely due to the potential controversy and sensitivity it might incite. However, I concluded that there's no way anyone can fully comprehend the red-pilled rabbit hole of UAPs that have any relationship with religion without first confronting this topic.
For a century, this topic has sparked debates which continue even to this day. As the son of a Southern Baptist minister, I spent every Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and Wednesday night Bible study throughout my youth listening to Christian sermons. I've heard over 2,652 sermons by the time I was 17, so you can imagine my conflict when I started to dive into the aforementioned topic. After years of wrestling with these ideas, I was able to digest my red pill by employing a simple strategy. Forget everything I thought I knew and approach each subject as if I'm learning it for the first time. If I find myself overly conflicted, I quiet my preconceived thoughts and ask myself an honest question. Does this new information make sense? And does the evidence provided effectively support its claims? I hope you, as the viewer or listener, will approach this episode with the same open-mindedness. Mauro Biglino went on to show that the word we translate as God is actually Elohim, which is a plural word meaning powerful ones, and that the use of the word God is what actually leads to much of our confusion. With that being said, the following is something you won't hear on any given Sunday.
In the beginning, unlike the story we are used to hearing pertaining to a God that has always existed in this plane of existence, we witness the entrance of the creators into this realm of existence. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 reads, "In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth." However, the word in the original Hebrew is bara, and translations can differ, leading to the English translation being used to steer particular narratives. Bara carries dual meanings, which include creating something from nothing or shaping and ordering pre-existing material. The more accurate phrasing should be, in the beginning, the Elohim entered this realm, chose to shape and form the earth, which was already here, along with the skies and space. This sheds light on our understanding as we progress to verse 2 in Genesis. Verse 2 says, "The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep.
And the spirit of Elohim was hovering over the surface of the waters." Verse 2 indicates that the earth already existed but was formless and void, tohu vavohu in Hebrew, and that darkness covered the surface of the deep. The spirit of Elohim, or wind of Elohim, hovered over the surface of the waters, suggesting the presence of water. Let's recap. According to the original translation, in the first two verses alone, we've ascertained that the earth, water, and skies were already here, and that the Elohim materialized, entered, or appeared in this realm and began making it habitable for us. The book of Genesis proceeds to elucidate two distinct creation narratives. These accounts are found in Genesis 1:1-2-3 and Genesis 2:4-3-24. Genesis describes a meticulously structured creation process spanning 6 days, culminating in a day of rest. In this account, the Elohim, as revealed by translation, refers to multiple plural creators who are portrayed as more abstract and transcendent in their roles. Controversial, I know, but bear with me. On the 6th day, the text showed that they create humankind, both male and female, in their image. The Elohim are portrayed as more distant, primarily issuing commands and decrees. In contrast, Genesis 2:4-3-24 portrays a second account of creation by Yahweh. This is the account that delves into the creation of Adam, who is formed from the dust of the ground, and Eve, who is created from Adam's rib.
It's during Yahweh's act of creation, the Garden of Eden, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the first appearance of the serpent, and the fall of Yahweh's creation transpired, which is portrayed as our origin story. Understanding that there were other Elohim helps to understand why in Exodus and Deuteronomy, Yahweh referred to himself as a jealous El. Furthermore, this helps us understand the exclusivity of the Garden of Eden and the rules he gave Adam and Eve, and why Yahweh spoke of the other Elohim as evil, as we see in Exodus 12:12 and Psalms 82, where he physically stood in the middle of all the Elohim that at that time held real jurisdiction over different parts of earth, and where Yahweh accuses them of ruling their territories with wickedness and injustice.
Over time, you can literally see how Yahweh speaks on taking dominion of those same Elohim territory and binding their messengers, which in Hebrew literally translate to angels, and locking them away due to their evil in Isaiah 24. It's amazing when I speak like this, many like to suggest blasphemy, but if anything, the original Hebrew helps us understand our origins better than the church. It instills true, unaltered belief. It takes less faith and makes more sense. In the beginning, these beings arrived in this reality and made it habitable. They each took different territories and created life. This is why there exists the scientific classification that the church can't explain called hominins. For example, the Homo neanderthal found in Europe, southwestern to Central Asia, the Homo denisova found in Siberia, Russia, and the Tibetan Plateau, Homo erectus found in Africa, Asia, and parts of Europe, Homo floresiensis, literally called the hobbits, which was found in the island of Indonesia, Homo naledi, found in the Rising Star cave system in South Africa, the pre-Homo genus, the most famous being what is known as the Lucy skeleton, aka the Australopithecines, and finally you and I, created by Yahweh Homo sapiens, now considered the only ones left today.
We know there was life outside of Eden, based on Genesis chapter 4, when Cain is being exiled from the territory of Eden. Not to be confused with the garden in Genesis 4:14, where in a time according to the way the church teaches it, in a time where there should only be Adam, Eve, and their children, Cain, who had just murdered his brother Abel, cries to Yahweh that if he is exiled from Eden, the people outside of Eden that find him will kill him. So Yahweh places a mark on Cain so that any who sees him will recognize the mark as him being protected by Yahweh and won't take his life. After that, it goes on to say, Cain entered the land of Nod and found a wife. The Hebrew text doesn't bother to explain where the people of Nod came from, because to the ancient reader, it was already assumed that they understood the world outside of Yahweh's territory. Eden was already populated.
Cain is leaving Yahweh's jurisdiction and entering foreign territory, which means he is walking into the land occupied by other peoples and potentially governed by other Elohim with Yahweh's protection. Now take a step back and look at the picture just painted. We have multiple beings arriving in this realm, terraforming the environment, dividing the planet into territories, and genetically managing different hominin populations. To understand how they operated, we have to look at the beings working under them. The English Bible calls them angels, but in the original Hebrew, the word is malach, which literally translates to messenger. And there were different classes of these messengers. You had the seraphim, the cherubim, and the aphanim. Here is the detail that gets lost in Sunday school. Not all of them had wings. Many of them operated what the ancient texts describe as literal vehicles.
When the prophet Ezekiel describes the wheel within a wheel descending from the sky, accompanied by deafening noise, flashing lights, and moving in any direction without turning, he wasn't describing a ghost or an apparition. He was describing an advanced craft. This technology has been in use from the very beginning. When you understand this basic Hebrew context, that we are dealing with supernatural yet also physical messengers utilizing advanced technology, it completely shifts how we can understand the story of Jesus without losing the profound nature of it. Instead of a fairy tale narrative of a winged angel floating down and waving a magic wand to create a miraculous conception, the text points to something far more calculated. It makes perfect, logical sense that Yahweh dispatched these malach, these messengers. They selected a woman from a very specific, protected DNA bloodline and used advanced biological technology to artificially impregnate Mary. The goal? To engineer a perfect vessel, Jesus. It wasn't magic, it was highly advanced genetics to pass on the seed of the firstborn of creation, as he's called in Colossians 1:15 through 17. Let's put the pieces together. Now that we have an understanding of the Elohim and how they entered this reality, an understanding of why Yahweh should be acknowledged, respected, and revered as our creator, and how the use of the English word angel is deceptive, and why it's critical to call them what they were, messengers. And finally, having a basic understanding of the technological vehicles they use to get around. It gives you the exact basic definition of what we call an alien today. And that's without me going into gates and portals. This is what we call word magic. The changing of words to keep us running around in circles, just like they did when they created the word dinosaur in 1842. I can't tell you how many debates I've had with people that claim the Bible is out of date because they can't find the word dinosaur in it. These are the games the elites play. Lack of this understanding is why many current religious figures and politicians, like Vice President J.D. Vance, have publicly stated that UFOs aren't aliens, but rather spiritual beings or demons. But the literal translation suggests something far more concrete. It forces us to ask, why did they purposely change the context within the text? It cannot be a coincidence that the English version of Scripture differs so heavily from its original, spiritual, but mostly literal text. Bottom line is, people of the past had direct contact with lower Elohim who possessed incredible technology and that haven't changed even as we discuss this in the present. This connection to knowledge have been intentionally hidden, spiritualized away, and to this day only revealed to a select few in classified briefings or secret societies. So it's no wonder why so many truthers and religious folks believe mainstream UFO talk is just a massive distraction or an organized conspiracy. Make no mistake, disclosure is a tool. There is a deep military-industrial complex that wants to keep the actual technology, like zero-point energy and advanced propulsion, locked away for profit and control. If humanity gained access to free, clean energy derived from these crafts, it would dismantle the global fossil fuel economy overnight, amongst other things, but I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes. Sometimes, the media pumps out UFO news to distract the public from political scandals or impending wars, but the core truth remains vital. There are forces within our government willing to kill to protect this secret, and that brings us to the chilling reality of right now. Over the past few years, there has been an unprecedented wave of missing and murdered scientists. We are talking about top-tier minds vanishing from the defense aerospace corridor, a web of military bases, labs, and defense contractors.
Let me catch you up on exactly who they are, because the timeline is terrifying. July 30th, 2023, Michael David Hicks, a 59-year-old scientist at the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab. He worked on asteroid and comet defense projects. It is reported he died under undisclosed circumstances. July 4th, 2024, Frank Mywald, age 61. Another NASA Jet Propulsion Lab researcher who designed instruments to detect chemical signatures of life on other planets. He died mysteriously on Independence Day with no public cause of death and no autopsy released. May 4th, 2025, Anthony Chavez, age 78, a retired employee of the Los Alamos National Laboratory, also the birthplace of the atomic bomb. He vanished from his home in New Mexico, leaving his wallet and keys behind and his car locked in the driveway. June 22nd, 2025, Monica Raza, age 60. Another NASA Jet Propulsion Lab aerospace engineer who co-invented Mondaloy, a super alloy capable of withstanding extreme rocket engine heat. She vanished into thin air on a hiking trail in California. Just 30 feet behind her companion, her body has never been found. June 26, 2025, Melissa Casillas, age 53, an administrative assistant with top security clearance at Los Alamos National Lab. She disappeared in New Mexico, purse still in her car, and keys left behind with both her personal and work phones found to underwent factory reset. August 28, 2025, Stephen Garcia, age 48, a government contractor with top secret clearance at the Kansas City National Security Campus, overseeing non-nuclear components for nuclear weapons. He disappeared from his Albuquerque home, taking a handgun, but leaving his phone, wallet, and keys.
December 13th, 2025, Jason Thomas, age 45, an associate director of chemical biology for Novartis. He vanished late at night in Massachusetts, leaving his phone and wallet. His body was pulled from a frozen lake months later. December 15th, 2025, Nuno Loureiro, age 47, an MIT nuclear physicist and the director of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center. He was found shot to death at his home in Brookline, Massachusetts. February 16th, 2026, Carl Grillmere, age 67, a renowned Caltech astrophysicist who built algorithms for NASA space telescopes hunting for exoplanets. shot dead on his front porch in California. February 26, 2026, and finally, Major General William Neal McCaslin, age 68. He was the former commander of the Air Force Research Lab at Wright-Patterson, the legendary base tied to the Roswell crash and reverse engineering. He walked out of his home in New Mexico, leaving his phone, smartwatch, and glasses, taking only his wallet and a .38 caliber revolver, and vanished into thin air. A lot of that going on, huh? These aren't random people. These are the exact minds required to understand advanced materials, plasma physics, and space surveillance. Someone is systematically removing the people who hold our nation's deepest aerospace secrets off the board. Finally, let's go all the way down the rabbit hole and connect the final dots. Are we still talking about that Epstein guy? No, really. What is the dark connection between UFOs, the war in Iran, and Jeffrey Epstein? Epstein wasn't just a sick pedo. He was deeply embedded in global intelligence networks. He had an obsession with science, genetics, and conquering gravity. Epstein funded and hosted some of the world's top physicists, like Stephen Hawking, taking them on submarines to the Bermuda Triangle to study quantum gravitational anomalies.
Some researchers even point out that Epstein was attempting to crack the code on UFO propulsion, heavily involved in the study of electrogravitics, while simultaneously trying to eugenically engineer humanity by breeding a superior race at his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. So how does Iran fit into all of this? Look at the actual documents and leaked communications from Epstein's files. Epstein was actively strategizing about Middle Eastern wars. In August 2013, emails reveal Epstein messaging Ehud Barak, the former prime minister and head of Israeli intelligence, discussing Syrian conflicts and urging him to use an op-ed to pivot the focus to attacking Iran.
Specifically stating, instead of bombing Iran, he put tariffs on Mexico. He's nuts. Epstein clearly desired a war with Iran. Remember, don't take my word on any of this. Ian Carroll created software called Web that allows one to go through the vast government-released files as easy as searching Wikipedia, but I digress. Even more chilling are Epstein's leaked text messages from December 2018 regarding a politically cornered Donald Trump. In the files, Epstein specifically predicted that cornered politicians would use an attack on Iran as a total diversion. I'm not saying Trump is cornered, I'm just stating what Epstein stated.
He wrote to a contact that Trump is psychotic and would not blink twice at encouraging an attack on us so he can leap to the country's defense. Epstein noted the mindset. If I go down, I'm taking everyone with, and explicitly stated that starting a larger regional issue by bombing Iran would be the ultimate move to distract the public. Just days before an Iranian security minister named Ali Larijani was killed, Larijani tweeted a warning. On March 15th, he stated that the remnants of Jeffrey Epstein's network had devised a conspiracy to create a false flag incident and blame it on Iran to start a war. 2 days later, he was dead. It is my belief that everything is connected. The advanced aerospace technology being hidden from us, the mysterious deaths of the scientists who understand it, the blackmail rings controlling our politicians, and the endless cycle of wars designed to keep us distracted and in fear. They want us looking the other way. But the veil is lifting and I'm just doing my part. I want to thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of The Rabbit Hole. Hit subscribe, stay vigilant, and never stop asking questions. Make sure you comment and share. I'm activist Vall Owens, and until next time, this is your Red Pill.
Take these chains off of me. Fear won't overtake me, won't put no chip in me. Got the mind and will of a king. I'm not a martyr, just a man with a dream. I will be free. If I gave you a red pill, would you take it? Would you turn down that deal from Satan? Will you believe when they call me crazy? Do you believe this is a stand worth taking?